what are the 5 steps to be a great public servant? Today we have Christian Komor with us, which is running for governor in Colorado, and he has his 5 key values, what he really believes that the 5 pillars that every public servant in United States, it doesn't matter if it's Republican, Democrat, or from any party, what are the 5 key values that every public servant should have in order to make this the greatest country in the world, United States?
Welcome to Entrepreneurs Are Leaders podcast with Harry Sardinas. Interviews with world's most influential entrepreneurs that share tips about how to grow your business exponentially. Charismatic speaking, leadership, branding, marketing strategies designed to help you monetize your knowledge, find true happiness, and manifest your goals and dreams.
We should probably put one of those in there as a really good internet connection, because your voice is kind of breaking up as we're. But the obviously everybody's going to say the first thing they're going to say for the five everyone's choice is going to be honesty. However, we don't really see much of that, of course, in politics. We see a lot of lying. Donald Trump, the news has kind of gotten tired of listening to what Donald Trump may have to say, because he, so often changes his mind. But politicians, we need to stick with what we're saying. Of course, we can change course if we have to, but we need to be honest about this is what our platform stands for. Instead of usually people call their strategy platform with planks, we call them deliverables, because in our campaign, our intent is to deliver on what we say that we're going to do. But the first answer would be honesty. We need to be honest about saying, yes, I can do this, or no, I can't do this. And government has been really good at saying yes, but really bad at saying no. Our government in the US has been like a parent who never says no to their child. Doesn't matter if the child wants to run out into a busy street, the parent just doesn't say no. So I guess moving to my second key would be having the strength to set limits, to set rules, to set regulations. That's the job of government. The job of business, people are always whining about, well, why doesn't business be more responsible? Why don't they stop polluting, etc.? Well, that would be great if voluntarily they would do that, but that's really not their mandate. Their mandate is to make money, to create product, to innovate. That's what.
So the consumer has responsibility as well, because if they purchase those products, the consumer has
responsibility. You said
the consumer also has responsibility. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. We'll get to the consumers later, but the business has a responsibility to make money. Government has a responsibility to protect the people. The government acts for the people, at least in this country. That's its job. Our government has not been doing its job, especially related to climate change, which is really the core of our campaign and should be the core of anyone's campaign right now. We have 7 years before climate change reaches a point where what we're seeing now are feedbacks in the planetary systems. Like we've got ocean currents that are starting to fail, and we have to have those ocean currents to move heat around the planet. We've got, as permafrost melts, We're having large stores of methane, which is a very potent greenhouse gas being released, which is going to cause a huge blip in climate change. This has been allowed to go on for decades. Back in 1980s, I watched Dr. James Hansen give a presentation to the U.S. Congress. You could see Al Gore sitting there in the background and as one of the representatives. And Hansen was saying from NASA was saying, look, we've got to stay below 350 parts per million of atmospheric carbon. Well, we're at what, 430 now? And whenever the Earth has hit 450 parts per million, it's begun an inexorable, an unalterable change to a new epoch, meaning 75% of the species alive on the planet are swept off the board, and we start again. Every single time, except for on one occasion when we've reached 450 parts per million. That's been it. We're going to reach 450 parts per million before the mid 2030s. So my third pillar would be to rescue the people of Colorado who I will be serving, to rescue them from climate change. And without that, nothing you or I are doing, nothing any other guest you talk to will have any consequence beyond the immediate future. We just won't have a long-term future. And the children who are being born right now will be the ones who experience most of the suffering. I had a podcast scheduled for earlier this morning, and the gentleman contacted me and said we couldn't go because their weather was too bad. He couldn't get a signal out. Very soon, we're going to be experiencing so many of the effects of climate change. Here we're having wildfires. We've had one of our major expressways completely buried under a landslide. Soon we won't even be able to talk about this anymore. So our campaign is going to take action on climate change. No trading carbon credits, no imagining that if we reduce carbon emissions, that's going to help. Because at this point, if we stop all carbon emissions, we're already still sunk. The house is already on fire.
But I think the one thing that
Yeah.
we can work on is in the consumer, because at the end of the day, the business are driven by the consumers. If the consumer don't buy things with plastic, it won't be that much excess. If the consumer don't buy, so it's between business that needs to have social responsibility and also educating the consumer. And this is a good part that maybe the government can have in how educate the consumer, because at the end of the day, the consumer goes and buys the product that have the better price. Because you have inflation, you have a lot of things going on, and at the end of the day, the people they go on and they buy plastic plates, and they eat in plastic plates just for don't do the washing up, which is I'm based in London, and this doesn't happen in Europe, right? Everybody eating plates and they do the washing up, and so the education factor or with the consumer, right? It needs to. There is a lot of work that has to be done, and also the government can give incentives to the companies to innovate, to take on the product right. So I think that this climate change is a responsibility of everybody. Is the government, the entrepreneurs, but also educating the consumer. Yeah, in London, for example, if you go to a supermarket, you need to have your own bag. They put a symbolic price, which is even 5 cents is nothing, but it's in the mindset of everyone. Oh, I need own bag and bring my own bag to the supermarket. So everybody goes with their own bag to the supermarket. And then you see in United States different behavior that you go to supermarket, they give you a lot of plastic bags and so there is a lot of in order to save this planet, right? Uh, I think that there is a lot of work that has to be done in the consumer in the United States. That this would have been done with a lot of progress, in my opinion, in Europe. Here in the still a lot of work needs to be done, right?
Absolutely. Yes, I really like what you're saying about the one of my favorite senators right now. I spend a lot of time in Washington meeting with senators and Congress people, and one of the wonderful guy is Senator Chris Murphy from Connecticut. He just wrote a book which talks about how important community connection and responsibility is. That you know, in years past here in the United States, up until maybe around the 1970s, we used to have civic groups like the Lions and the Kiwanis Club that would get together and do civic minded projects like educating people about not using plastic bags uh, or providing cloth bags to people who couldn't afford them. That we don't see that our society has been really
This part, this
and
simple thing is educating the consumer, which is this
yeah,
something as simple as is educating the consumer, and this is very important. However, Christian, I've seen the young people, the young generations, they're finding their way in because, of course, they are the most affected by it. So the younger generation, I find them more advocate to purchase that they are more social responsible, and so I think that our biggest problem is with the youngest generation. I think with the generation after that, we have been growing up in the waste, right? In the over a lot of products have been developed with a lot of impact in the world. And then you have the international landscape as well, because you see what people say. Well, what I should think about the environment in the United States if I don't know China or other countries they are polluting as well, and nobody say anything about it. So this is also another thing that we should take into consideration, right?
we definitely need to we need away the veto in the council in the United Nations that should never have been put into place so that the Security Council would have enough teeth to, for instance, there was just recently a resolution at the UN, a very strong resolution on climate change and pollution, and but the largest polluters, the United States, China, have not agreed. Nations need to be, again, kind of going back to my
Let's talk about
first.
China. Let's talk about China said
I
that
can't.
they
I don't know
pollute
anything about it.
well, but they my I is my is one they are one of the biggest polluters, like you said. However, they say that if you calculate this by number of inhabitants, they don't pollute as much. So, what is your take on this?
Well, again, I can't speak really about. I don't have
Hmm.
data to, which is would be another one of our five points. Is that as governor, I'm responsible to. In the United States, we right now have so much. With as everyone knows, with social media, there's been a proliferation of non-facts. Like, for instance, during the COVID pandemic, people in my region here were flying anti-China flags, as if somehow China had caused the pandemic.
It
What
was
had caused
actually
the
good for
pandemic?
the planet because it was good for the planet because it was not that much production. I remember
Yeah,
the parks. There were some revert of a lot of things. People seen a lot of animals and things like that that have been around before. Everything was quiet.
yeah,
The it was less production. I took a break. That's what I heard.
yeah. It kind of showed that we can do it. That
Hmm.
we can reduce pollution in different sectors. One
So
of the
what are
problems,
your what? Yeah, go ahead.
one problems with consumer education though, is with in terms of climate change, or I or anyone else at the consumer level does at this point. In fact, nothing that even the multinational at this point will make a difference. We already have 900 gigatons of carbon alone in the atmosphere around us. It won't go anywhere for thousands of years.
Well, if they
That's
invent something,
already
they can invent
that's
something
already
to reduce it. There are some
uh,
technologies that are expensive. There are some technology that can reduce this. I
we
heard
need
about it.
something to reduce it, and that is
There are some out there, but they're expensive.
that's the key thrust of our campaign. Is we figured out to do that. Actually, we didn't come up with there's called direct air carbon removal, which is basically a plant,
Hmm.
which a factory, which takes carbon out of the atmosphere, resolidifies it. So basically, what we've done,
Oh wow!
what humans have done, is we've turned carbon, which is a solid, into a gas. And so now it's causing problems in the atmosphere. We need to turn it back into a solid. And amazingly,
I use
we
it.
have this technology. That the problem is, as you just mentioned, it's very expensive to do.
Mhm.
Um, it needs to be done at significant scale. It's kind of like, we couldn't have fought the Nazis in World War II with just organizing some of our Boy Scout troops here in the United States. We needed a major concerted effort, and we needed to harness the productivity of American
Mhm.
industry and do everything we could. Well, World War, in terms of death and suffering, is very, very small compared to the effects of climate change. We already have hundreds of people dying directly from climate change. Huge. The United States has already spent on the order since the 1970s, $5 trillion picking up the pieces from climate change. So we have to upscale these direct air carbon removal plants. So far, nobody's been able to figure out how to do that. Now, along comes these big data centers that everyone's afraid of because they use a lot of water and a lot of power. However, we take a big data center and we place it next to a direct air carbon removal plant. And the big data center brings in, of course, a lot of capital. So they can help fund the direct air carbon removal plant and the alternative energy needed to power both facilities. Here in Colorado, we have a tremendous amount of geothermal energy. We've got a lot of solar energy, wind energy. Um, we've got plenty of sustainable energy. We will place those energy sources close to the campus where these new plants will be located. Then remove carbon from the atmosphere and it becomes a solid again. We can actually make things from it. It can be, and all of them biodegradable green products, fertilizers, jet fuel. We're talking about plastics. From recovered carbon, we can make biodegradable plastic. We have instantly solved, or we've solved a big part of at least the ongoing element of plastic pollution. So this can be a huge win, 10 from the carbon production facility.
Christian, if someone is
Yes.
in love with conversation, how people can find you, how this process work, when are you running, when are you gonna be your elections? Tell us a little bit more about this.
Yeah, the elections are in November. I'm running
Oh,
for governor, but because I wasn't willing to take any dark money or any out of state money, I have to run as a independent write-in candidate. If anybody's listening from Colorado, you have to actually write my name on the ballot, Christian Komor, and you can learn more about our platform and what we would do for
wow, so
Colorado.
you are running as an independent.
Yes, yes,
Wow.
yeah.
So how is it going so far?
We don't have any polling yet. That they're doing the big guys right now. We'll get some polling later on. We're getting hundreds of visitors to our website,
Oh,
which
wow.
is it's at K4, the number 4, so K, the number 4, GOV, K4GOV.com. Yeah, we're getting a lot of. I think the people are sick and tired of the usual, and really the candidates are all business as usual. They don't have anything to say about direct air carbon removal. People often ask me, well, what can I do? If it won't help anymore for me as an individual to try to reduce carbon emissions, what can I do? The thing people can do is vote for anyone. Doesn't have to be me. It can be anyone who's advocating direct air carbon removal. It's the
And
only
also
thing
the
we can do.
people, we coming back to the people, to the consumer. The consumer also
Yes.
has to be ready for this change. So,
Yeah.
so there is a big part, like sometimes we have to be the effective solution. I don't know. Now we have to do some electric cars. Now some people say that those electric cars they are could be more polluted than actually the previous one because of the batteries and
Oh, yes.
how so we have to it's a long work to go in order to get the right solution to get effective for the climate. But I think that the consumer and the entrepreneurs, okay, along with the government, there are three aspects of this, because there is something for sure. If people, the companies won't produce it, and now consumers little didn't have to be, especially the young generation, they're getting very savvy. And I think that if this trend continues, we can do a better job. So I don't think that the problem is with the young people today. Somehow they managed to learn about what planet they want to live on, and are very smart in the way what kind of product they consume and like that. So I think that the other generations is that I need more work. So Christian, thank you so much for the
Mm.
broadcast. I wish you the best. And for all of you following the Entrepreneurs and Leaders podcast, see you in our next episode how people like Christian try to make the difference and make the world a better place. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Follow us for more on charismatic speaking, leadership, exponential business growth, branding, marketing, strategies designed to help you monetize your knowledge, find true happiness, and manifest your goals and dreams.